Okay, everybody, welcome back. It's been a while. This is episode 23 of Celtics Life Live, joined by one regular, and that would be Eric Bleisdale. What's up, Eric?
Not much is going on.
And then one regular on the blog, but new to Celtics Life Live, Matt Richardson. What's up, Matt?
What's happening? Not much.
Welcome. This is we've been waiting a while to have you. You're a busy guy.
It's an honor.
It is. If you're gonna make one episode, it's episode 23. That's what I always say.
MJ.
Yeah, it's the MJ episode. That's how we'll refer to it as. Now, let's obviously talk about the giant elephant in the room, which is that the Celtics are good. Good. I don't know how it happened, but they're now a good basketball team. They are 30-36. They've won 5 games in a row. Every time you take away a good player from their team, they get better. It's something like I've never seen before, at least from the Celtics. So let's just talk about impressions of this team right now. Matt, why don't you make your debut? Just what are your feelings right now surrounding this team?
I mean, it's impossible not to be, pretty excited about the team right now. It's not just that they're playing good; it's that they're playing really, really well. And it's fun just to have kind of a team full of people that are really super easy to root for. And that's not superstars. That's your Luigis of the world. That's your Jonas Jerebkos, who's somehow like become an actually good player. It's a lot of fun just to root for them, and a lot of fun just to see them play team basketball, move the ball around, and just be exciting every night.
Yeah, Eric, what do you think?
I'm flabbergasted. I don't. This is year 2 of the rebuild, and I'm already at the point where I don't care about where the draft pick falls. I couldn't care less because this team is playing so well. They have a realistic shot of finishing with a winning record at the end of this season. They have to go 11-5 just to make 500, 12-4 to go over 500. And if you look at their schedule, there's a lot of beatable teams. And it doesn't matter who the teams are because they've got wins against guys like Memphis on their record, so they've shown they can take it to whoever in the league. So to think in year 2 of this rebuild, without a single superstar, that they could possibly finish at 500, that's insane. All credit in the world to Brad Stevens for however he's turning these guys around.
Yeah, and it's not just like that they don't have a superstar. I think what's interesting is they don't have like starting caliber players in this NBA. Like Smart's a great player, and he'll be there. But past that, you have a team literally of 6th through 9th men who are just really good at what they do, coming together to play well. It's crazy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you guys are saying. It's one of the best coaching jobs I can ever remember from the Celtics, if not the best. Jim O'Brien getting the 0-2 Celtics to 48 wins in the Eastern Conference Finals was pretty incredible. But the Eastern Conference back then, if people think the Eastern Conference is bad now, my God, that year was an abomination. For the Celtics to get, I think, the 3 seed that year, the Pistons averaged like 75 points a game, and they were the 2 seed. That Nets team that went to back-to-back finals was not very good. So this, to me, is almost more impressive because, like Matt said, it's not that they don't have a superstar. It's not that they don't have a star. It's that they have a very good bench, but their bench is their entire roster. So it's pretty incredible. To me, Brad Stevens should be in the Coach of the Year conversation. I'm not sure if you guys agree. He won't get it, obviously, with Budenholzer. Is it Budenholzer or Budenholzer? Who's Atlanta? Whatever.
Coach
Buden
Bud.
something. Coach Bud. Atlanta's going to win 65 games. He's going to win Coach of the Year. But Brad Stevens is top 3, isn't he, Eric?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Jason Kidd has to be in that conversation as well. I mean, Milwaukee's been struggling a little bit lately, but they were one of the worst teams in the NBA, didn't make a whole lot of changes, got rid of Larry Sanders, lost Jabari Parker, and yet they're still in the playoff hunt. But, yeah, I mean, I think if Brad Stevens can finish this team off at 500 or really, really close to it, I think he'll be a surefire runner-up. But Atlanta is just such a juggernaut, and they also did make a lot of tweaks to their roster. They're just playing exceptionally well, so you've got to give the hat tip to him.
Matt?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how like narratives work in the NBA, because I'm sure like someone like Steve Kerr will get a lot of credit, and to a certain degree he deserves it, but also like that narrative's built off the fact that Mark Jackson was kind of inept, and missing a lot of things that should have become obvious that Kerr's capitalizing on. Coach Bud's incredible. That Hawks team is not traditionally very, very good, and they're playing elite. But yes, I mean, Stevens, if we've spent all this year talking about how they're not good or they're just fun. Now they're excelling during this point, and again, I've said it now twice. This team sucks. Like, talent-wise, it sucks. They've got no right to be, 13-4 since February. Yet here they are. And again, it's just a bunch of guys who are buying into what this guy's pitching. And it's coming together. It's incredible.
To me, I was a huge Brad Stevens guy coming in. I know most of us were. The 25 wins last year didn't scare me at all. The bad start this year didn't scare me at all. But watching him, I do think, and we'll get to the Rondo, Jeff Green, did their departures make the team better? I think one aspect of that that's not arguable is that now Brad Stevens has full control over this roster. He has full control over this team. When Rondo was here, Rondo ran the offense. That's really not, Stevens I'm sure had some plays, but Rondo called them out. Rondo had the ball, and now it's Brad Stevens. He's the one pulling the strings, and they were pretty bad their first 12 to 15 games without Rondo, but now, wow, the ball movement's unbelievable. They're following a similar blueprint, only with much, much worse talent than what Atlanta's doing, than what San Antonio's always done. And that doesn't mean they're going to win 65 games next year or anything. But Brad Stevens, his system works. He has the right type of guys, even though they stink. A lot of them are bad or average. They have, like I said, they have a bunch of eighth best guys on a good team. They have a ton of those guys. But they don't really have, especially now with the injuries. Sellinger's out, Isaiah Thomas has been out, and they just keep winning. It's a huge testament to Brad Stevens. And I have to believe, even though their draft pick is going to be worse, you have to feel better about their future because they do have Stevens who can really, really coach, and they still have a guy in Danny Ainge who now that he has his assets assembled, is going to have his hands in everything this offseason. So I'm really excited. I don't know who wants to take it, but this should be raising our excitement level, right? Not bringing it down just because they're not going to have a top 5 pick this year.
Yeah. I mean, I was one of the guys who very early on wanted the youth movement, and we're going that way. But as a part of that, I wanted them to keep losing games this season. Not on purpose. I'm not talking about players throwing games or whatever, like tanking, whatever you want to say. But I wanted to see them try to get the best draft pick they could possibly get to build on that war chest of assets. Now, I don't care. I don't care if they get the 14th pick, if they get whatever pick they get, because not only are they playing a lot better, but they have all these assets now. If they want to, they can trade up and try to get somebody if they want. If they have to move up and get to number 6 or 7, they can do that. So let the guys play. They're having fun. It's going really, really well. I've completely flipped around how I've wanted this season to go. Brad Stevens has convinced me that this is the right thing to do, and I'm hoping. I can't wait for a playoff run out of this team.
Matt?
Yeah, I think you got to kind of look at, like, in terms of value, what's more valuable to this team? Having, say, a pick in like 8 to 10, or getting that 15th pick, and all of a sudden you have 2 huge selling points. One, look at this coach. Look what he can do with nothing to a potential free agent. We could talk about him later. Kevin Love, Greg Monroe. That's a good sales pitch. And then again, you've got Danny Ainge, who's literally just flipped asset after asset after asset, and it has shown himself to be absolutely incredible. Probably the best GM in the game right now. That's a good pitch to a potential free agent. Maybe not Houston great, but it's better than, hey, we have the 8th pick now.
Yeah, and one thing that's always been overrated, not that it's a non-factor, is that Boston's never drawn a max-level free agent. The Celtics have never had max money ever.
Yes.
They've never had it. Now that doesn't mean if you have their offer and the Lakers offer and the Rockets offer that they're not going to finish third just about every time, because they are. But they have enough money, and free agency is deep enough where even if they don't get the very top of the line guy, they can bring in somebody who can really help. Look at 2 summers ago when Atlanta signed Paul Millsap. I don't think people were thinking, "Oh, that's like one of the signings that's going to help them reach an NBA Finals, potentially." Yeah, look at now, Paul Millsap making $9 million a year, giving them 15 and 9 a night. Super efficient guy, had for decent but not huge money. The Celtics can get their Paul Millsap this summer. I think that's it. They can do at least that. Could they lure a DeAndre Jordan? Probably not. I don't even consider Gasol and Aldridge free agents. Maybe that's just foolish of me, but I think those guys are going back to their respective teams. But they're going to be able to entertain guys like Monroe and Millsap, and if he's a free agent and they're interested, Al Jefferson. They're going to have their hands in a lot of stuff, and that's even before you get to the trading aspect. They can sign a guy like that and still bring in another guy. They can sign a guy like that and bring in 2 first-round picks. They can sign a guy like that, bring in 2 first-round picks, make a trade, and still have 2 first-round picks the next year, potentially. Just with all the assets they have 4 first-round picks next year. It's wild. I'm really, really excited about the future. But before we really get too far into the future, because I think we're all excited about that.
Yep.
This year's team, let's break it down. Absolute best case scenario for the 2015 Celtics. That's what I want to talk about. What's the furthest you could see them going? What's the best aspect of this? Is it to lure a free agent in the future? Is it to show off Brad Stevens? Is it to potentially make it to the second round? Eric, why don't you start here? What is your max ceiling for the Boston Celtics?
I'd say second round. I'd say it always depends on the matchup. If they're matching up with Atlanta or Cleveland or one of those, it's not going to happen. But if they match up with a team like Toronto that's been struggling a little bit lately, then I think they could squeak out a series out of that one. And it'd be great to give Brad Stevens a little bit more coverage because the Celtics have they got 1 national television game this year, and after it was taken away, they got one back.
Yeah.
But
NBA TV, baby, NBA TV.
Yeah. So give Brad Stevens some attention. People will say, "What is this roster? How are these guys in the playoffs? What is this guy doing?" And it'll help the kids out too because they'll have all this playoff experience now. They'll be able to say if they can match up against Toronto, they could say, "Well, we beat a team in the playoffs, and look at us. We're just a bunch of scrappers." So I think it would give them a huge boost of confidence, and it would give Stevens the recognition he deserves because not a lot of people are talking about what he's doing.
Matt.
Yeah, I think, to Eric's point, I would say probably best case scenario for them. Is it completely crazy to say that there's some possibility that they could squeak out against Atlanta?
No.
No.
I don't want to give
No.
away my answer, but you continue.
Well, so I'll be super clear before I get called an idiot, which it won't be the first time.
No.
But is it possible if they played a series 100 times, I think the Celtics could squeak out a win maybe 10 times. Again, Atlanta's a really, really good team, but I think it's possible with the way that they're playing. Could they beat Cleveland? No. So I think, yeah, they could go that far. And again, to what Eric's saying, what we said before, I think anything at this point is just gravy and it's piling on. You're helping people. You're improving the existing assets. You can sell a team on certain players now. Maybe with a little bit of highlight. Brandon Bass, I still don't know how no one signed him or no one traded for him. My apologies. But yeah, I think it's possible that they could. Likely, I think they make the playoffs and they probably lose the first round. Best case scenario, Eastern Conference Finals. They could probably go against Cleveland and they would lose pretty handedly. What about you, Mike?
Now, I feel like my answer just got hijacked.
That's what I do.
That apparently you're not welcome back.
Why you guys haven't invited me here?
So here's my thing. They could beat anyone that's not named LeBron James. It is at best a 10% chance. I would not pick them against Atlanta. I would not gamble on them against Atlanta. I don't think it's extremely realistic. But Atlanta does not have the type of team that I look at and just say there is no shot that the Celtics could hang in that series. And if you hang in a series, you can win the series. Atlanta doesn't have the kind of home crowd that terrifies me. Although they've been great at home, they've been great on the road this year. So if they match up with Cleveland in round one, their ceiling is round one. If they match up with Atlanta, yeah, it's 85% chance they get knocked out. But they can beat anyone in the Eastern Conference not named Cleveland. And if they don't play Cleveland to the conference finals, that is still possible, which is insane, but it is still possible. Let's talk a little bit, circle back a bit, Rondo. We talked about it a little bit before we got this on air. The Celtics dealt Rondo. They struggled for a bit. Since then, they've really been playing out of their minds. Overall, they're 21-22 without Rondo. They were 9-13 with him. Also, should point out, 4 consecutive teams, the last 3 Celtics teams and this year's Mavericks team, have had better records when Rajon Rondo has not played than they do when he has played. Is Rondo, new version of Rondo, I don't think anyone thinks 2010 Rondo or 2012 playoff Rondo is somehow a detriment to a team. Was Rondo a detriment to the Celtics? And was that trade a hell of a lot better than we thought? Let's go out to Matt.
So, I mean, with the Celtics, I think the answer is easy, is that they're not talented enough to be able to kind of capitalize on Rondo, what Rondo does well. Rondo's a great shot creator and distributor. He creates shots for people who might not be able to capitalize on it. And because of that, you know, his complete inability to score, especially down the end, it wasn't just doing anything for this team. So you take it out and you add another guy who might be able to hit an open shot, get to the hole. I think that helps them. So I think, again, it's a combination of clearly he's declined to a certain degree. I think he's still got something in there. But, again, I don't think that the Celtics were in a position to capitalize on what he does well currently.
Eric, I have a feeling about what you're going to say, but you should say it anyways.
I'm gonna cut him some slack. Everybody knows how I feel about Rondo. I'm never going to be accused of being a Rondo fan. But on this team, he just doesn't make any sense. On this Celtics roster, he needs great players to be great. There were no great players on this team yet. He's not going to sit around and wait for Marcus Smart, wait for James Young, wait for whoever they draft or trade for. He's not going to wait around for that because his prime is now, and he's already starting to decline a little bit. So the Dallas stuff, it's always tricky when you trade a guy midseason because there is an adjustment period. You don't have the training camp. You don't have getting familiar. You go at it. You're traded. You play. So I'm not going to put too much emphasis on what he's done in Dallas. They're still winning. They're still a winning team. Their efficiency has gone down a little bit, but they're still, top 10, top 5? So I don't think he is a really good player. I've never said that Rondo isn't a good player. I just didn't like his fit on this roster. I think he makes a lot more sense on Dallas. He has Dirk, he has Monta, he has Chandler Parsons, he has guys that he can go to that he doesn't have to be the guy. He had to be the guy here, even with Jeff Green, because Jeff Green was never going to step up and take that role. So on this roster, it just he didn't have the talent to do what he does really well, and so I'm glad that he's in Dallas. Let's see what he can do over there.
Yeah, to me, Rondo has warts. The warts have never really changed. The issue is now that this is coming up as the video's off, which that's hopefully not the case. Can you guys see video right now? Like,
yeah.
Am I?
Yeah.
All right, then I'm gonna fight through it. Rondo has there's two different Rondos to me. There is pre-ACL Rondo and there is post-ACL injury Rondo. Those guys are dramatically different players. The first one, before the ACL, was good enough to have the warts that he has, to have the lack of shooting, to have the attitude, to have the ball dominant point guard. Because he was so good at running an offense, and he was so good on defense that you could have those things, and he was so good in the playoffs. Oh my God, I think that still might exist. We got to see what happens when he gets to the playoffs. But some of these numbers before and after the ACL injury are really, really dramatic. His shooting numbers, because the biggest thing that's declined, I think, is his ability to score. Even though he wasn't great at it, he used to be really, really good at getting to the rim. Pre-ACL Rondo used to shoot 47% of his shots at the rim. 47%. Post-ACL injury Rondo shoots 30% of his shots at the rim. A huge decrease, 17%. Pre-ACL Rondo shot, where is the percentage? 64% on those shots. He shot 64%. He converted 64% of his shots at the rim. Post-ACL, that has dipped down to 50%. So again, about a 15% drop. The guy can't score at the rim anymore. He already couldn't shoot. That means he's a non-factor in terms of a scorer. You need to bring something to the table offensively. He brings nothing to the table offensively besides his ability to run the offense. So with that in mind, he just turned 29. I think we have seen the best of Rondo, and I think the Celtics got out just in for a lesser price tag than we wanted. But that deal looks better and better every day.
I'd agree. I mean, and I'm admittedly playing a little bit of devil's advocate here. Is it possible that some of this, his decline, is a lot of people trying to put a squared peg through a circled hole? You know, Stevens wanted him to be Tony Parker. I think they the beginning of the season, that was a real emphasis, that they kept watching the ball motion and moving without the ball. Carlisle does the same thing. He wants the ball whipping around. Is some of the fact that Rondo can't shoot and is losing confidence the fact that, again, he's doing things that he's completely not comfortable with, and he's very, very clearly, a mental case might be hard, but he's very cerebral.
I am having major technical difficulties. Are you guys not having these? You guys just everything's running smoothly?
Yeah.
They're running smoothly?
Yeah.
You glitch out every once in a while.
Eric, you keep going then.
Okay,
you guys keep. I'm gonna figure this out.
Okay. I don't put as much stock into the injury as Dyer does, because with an injury like that, it takes about a year of on the court play to be able to get back to where you were. He's just about at that point now. I think he's actually passed a little bit, but so I'm not going to hold what he did the first part of the season or the last part of the last season against him, because he wasn't right. He wasn't healthy. His confidence in his knee wasn't there. He still had to regain some strength. So I'm not so quick to say, okay, he's declining now. And he could be declining, but I don't think it's quite as precipitous as we're seeing. And I also think he's great for Dallas because, as Mike said, he doesn't score. He doesn't need to. Dirk, Monta, Chandler, even Chandler Parsons and Tyson Chandler will take care of the scoring for him. He doesn't need to score in any capacity.
He needs to be a threat.
Why? You have four other guys who are threats. Don't play on.
You're going to play 4-on-5. That's not working. There's a reason why they score way less points per possession now than they did before him when they had even Jameer Nelson. All this evidence adds up. You can't. Every team you play for can't win more without you in the lineup, and every team you play for can't score more points with you out of the lineup and have it be some giant coincidence. That's not statistically possible.
I think the Dallas situation and the Boston situation are apples and oranges. Dallas's efficiency has slipped, but they're not one of the worst efficient teams in the league. They're still top 5, I believe. And in his time in Boston, it was he was asked to do a lot more things that he just couldn't do, and he doesn't have to worry about those things here. He had to score in Boston because we had Jeff Green, maybe 3 a night, maybe 20 a night, and there was no other option. He had to be a scorer. He doesn't have to do anything over there besides give everybody the rock, which he is still amazing at. He's still an amazing passer, if not still the best passer in the league right now.
Great passer, but right now that's really the only thing he's bringing to the table.
Well, I think they're 27-10 since they've got him, since he's joined the team. That's nothing to sneeze at. They're still a really, really good team.
There's no way they're 27. Yeah, they're not. Their winning percentage is way lower than that with Rondo. I mean, they just lost like 7 out of 9 before they got. I think they won the last 2 games.
Yeah, they're hovering around. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
No, I forget the exact numbers. They're like, I think Rondo's like 21-12 in games he's played in there, which is obviously a good number, but it's a significantly lower winning percentage than when he's been out of the lineup. I mean, again, the last 4 teams he played for have been worse with him in the lineup. They've scored less points with him in the lineup. Dallas's offensive efficiency, they were not only number 1 in the league ahead of Golden State, they were on track for one of the best offensive ratings in the history of the NBA in terms of points per possession before they got Rondo. And that number has gone down a lot with him. And I'm not putting all the blame on him. You know, you have all these maybe the fit's not great with Rick Carlisle. Maybe the rest of the offensive players need to take some of that responsibility. But he's butted heads with Carlisle. They've slipped offensively. They've slipped as a team. And literally the exact opposite has happened with Boston. So while I'm not saying it's 100% Rondo, I'm still not saying, and I'm not saying Rondo's done as a good player. I think he still is a good player. I think he might be done as an elite player, though. And I definitely think, while you can't put 100% of the blame on Rondo, yeah, you can put some of the blame on. Like, that's allowed. It's not all black and white. Some of the blame goes on the guy. You know, you don't play 30 minutes a night and have none of the blame. That's not how it works.
I love how I've turned into the Rondo defender.
I can't believe what the hell's happening right now.
Well, he's not here anymore. He's not my problem, so I can defend him now.
Well, I guess.
You've always been clear, Eric, too. I mean, it's just like especially in Boston, if you're the guy who doesn't say, like, hey, this guy's fantastic at literally everything in the world, connect forward, defense, offense, everything, you're the hater. So that kind of makes sense. To go with the Dallas thing, I wonder how much of it, and this doesn't get, I think, talked enough about. Some of that also can just be them coming back down to earth.
Sure.
That is not the best offense in the league. It was not the best offense in the league.
And it's not 100% correlation. I totally agree. Not 100% correlation, but there's got to be some correlation between him changing teams and both teams going in the opposite direction, right?
Well, but with Dallas, I mean, again, you've got a team that's thriving on moving the ball, spacing, and shooting. Those are not any of the things that their starting point guard now is particularly good at. Again, he excels at being able to kind of command that ball and then make decisions on the whim. It's not a good situation for him, and again, they just don't. I mean, they don't have any kind of bench to kind of help him out either. Mm-hmm. They rely really heavily on a piece that doesn't fit for them at all. I'll be interested to see if they're not playing particularly well, at least not in nights I see it. I'd be interested to see if Carlisle thinks about giving him the keys and just saying, hey, we might as well give this a try.
Well, the last 2 games, they've played a lot better, and Carlisle gave Rondo a lot of credit because one of the games he kind of let him do that a little more within the constraints of the offense. And by the way, I'm not counting out Rondo I don't think he's going to go 2012 Rondo on us. But I do think that he could have a good playoffs. I still think he's going to get at least $50 million or so on the open market. I don't know if he's going to get money, but maybe the Lakers throw it at him. He's going to get big money. He's still easily a starting point guard in this league and could still lead the league in assists in the right system, like an up-and-down system. I could see him averaging 12 assists again. But I do think we've seen his best days, and I do think the Celtics are better off without him, especially in the rebuild, although I think we're all on the same page with that. Let's, before we go, talk a little bit about Isaiah Thomas, you've heard some discussion. Is he a piece to be maybe dealt again, or is he a long-term piece? That was loud. What do you guys think? Is Isaiah Thomas built for the long term with the Celtics, or is he going to get spun by Danny Ainge? Let's start with Matt.
I think Isaiah Thomas is like what I like about Danny Ainge. And this is going to be a complete non-answer to your question. I'll apologize in advance, Mike. But I don't think Ainge works like, he doesn't acquire a guy necessarily like, oh, this is our point guard or this is our sixth man. And Simmons talks about this a lot. I think he looks at a guy and go, hey, I think I'd rather have him than, say, a first-round pick. So do I think he could be the starting point guard for a championship team? I maybe not. Probably not. Could he be the sixth man for that? Yeah. I've absolutely loved what I've seen. But again, I don't think it's like a black and white thing, and that's what I think makes Ainge so good, is that he doesn't think like, hey, this guy's going to bring us here. Or when he's drafting a guy, he's not like, this is our small forward of the future. I think he drafts the best player available, gets the best assets he can, and thinks about the future when it's appropriate.
Eric.
It's up to Thomas. I mean, from all accounts, he seems to love it in Boston. He seems to be having a lot of fun. He's really bought in. He's enjoying himself. But he's also said that he wants to start, and that's a little troubling for me. I mean, I would like to see Thomas and Smart start together, but I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case. Because if he could say, I'll be the best bench player the NBA's ever seen, I'm going to get my crunch time minutes, I'm going to be there in the fourth quarter, who cares if they announce my name before the game starts or not? And if they do that with his amazingly cheap contract, he's just under the line of where I want him to be for age in terms of building going forward. So I really hope, because his contract is so amazing, especially when that salary cap jumps up, you're going to get a guy who can score 30 a night on a rare occasion for $6 million on a $90 million salary cap. So I would absolutely hope that they hold on to him and hold him in some kind of bench capacity.
He won't stop at suggesting that he likes to be the starter, though, doesn't he? Like, that comes out 5 times a day from 4 different sources.
Yeah. But that's a problem.
I'm pretty happy here, but I do like to start.
Yeah.
I'm not mad that I'm not starting, but who wouldn't want to start? And then he appears to turn to his right, say that quote again. It might be something to look out for, but hopefully.
But at the same time, it's not really as much as I want Thomas to be a part of this team. His contract is so great, you could absolutely move him for whatever. You could. Any other team would love to have his kind of production if they might need a starter. With there's so many great guards in this league that he's going to have a tough time getting a starting job anywhere. But that if he becomes a malcontent, they could ship him off really easily. So I hope he sticks around, but if he becomes a problem, it's not going to be a big problem.
Absolutely. Mike, your thoughts? Did we lose you?
So my thoughts, I see and hear it, because it is just unbelievable. First off, you both sound like robots. The video hasn't worked in like 12 minutes. It's just our Gmail pictures pop up. I have no control over the camera person aspect of it, and the audio cuts out all the time. Besides that, it's going great on my end. Everything looks fantastic. But I'm going to hold on to hope that I'm the only one seeing that, or else the last half of this has been a complete disaster. But that being said, I will speak about Isaiah Thomas to the potentially 0 people hearing this. Isaiah Thomas is one hell of a bench player, in my opinion. That's what he is. He can be that for the Celtics. He can be that for a team that's ready to contend for a championship tomorrow. He can be here for the next 3 years, and I'd be thrilled if they have him in the mix. But I do think this. If they do trade him, they're going to get a better return than what's probably going to be like the 28th pick in the draft next year from Cleveland, which is what they gave up to get him. So he's a great piece. I hope he's here. I really like his game. I love him as the sixth man, 30 minutes or so a night, and playing crunch time minutes. before I let you guys go, any last point you want to talk about? I want to give you each a chance. If you have anything on your mind we didn't get to, and again, I hope these technical difficulties I'm seeing are not going through. Eric, why don't you start? Anything else you want to talk about with the team?
Just the amazing job that Danny Ainge has done. I mean, we can talk about Brad Stevens, we can talk about all the players, but this is really Danny Ainge's baby. He was the one that shocked the world by getting Stevens out of Butler, and now we're seeing how amazing that decision has been. We saw the trades he makes. Every single trade over the past 2-3 years has been an amazing trade for the Celtics, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I mean, he's getting credit, but a team that might not even they're likely to make the playoffs, but a team squeaking into the playoffs in a horrible East, having the executive of the year, doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think in this case, if you look at everything that he's done and everything he's accomplished to improve this team, he should absolutely be in the conversation for that.
Matt?
I mean, yeah, with Eric's point, I mean, the GM, it'll always work. He'll be the GM in the year in 4 years when he just signs the best player available or trades for the best player available. But I think you're right. I mean, I did that piece about this, about what the team will look like going forward. In next summer, they'll have $54 million available in 7 draft picks to make in 3 years. And those are those Nets picks, including a swap, which should come out to be incredibly valuable. I'd love to get him in an honest moment if he had if he thought that the Nets would be this bad this quick. There's certain. I mean, we saw that team against the Knicks not be able to do a damn thing. It's not completely out of the realm possibility. Besides that, own thoughts. I haven't made up my mind totally on Isaiah Thomas. Going back to Mike's question, I alternate between thinking he's like diet mini-me version of James Harden, or thinking he's just, and it's not just a size comparison, if he's kind of a steroid version of Nate Robinson, where he's just great to just kind of throw out in the court, try to do good things, and then let him go if he does well, and then cut the leash on him when he does bad. And I'm also wondering if he'd be willing to accept that role.
I can't tell if you stopped talking. I think now I think you did. Okay, Eric, I fully agree on Ainge. I'm a huge Ainge guy. I'm looking forward to seeing when the Celtics are a really good team. I'm not gonna say championship contender, but like getting maybe to the precipice of being a really good team, say in 2 years. What the excuse for people who don't like Ainge is going to be? Because the McHale thing, when he took over the 2003 Celtics, please look at the roster of the 2003 Celtics sometime if you'd like, and also keep in mind they had no first-round picks besides their own. And then look at what he did 4 years later and turned them into a 66-win team in the 2007 offseason. He did that. And you want to say Kevin McHale's his friend. Like, Kevin McHale didn't make the best deal. That he was like, you know what? I'm going to take the worst deal because I'm friends with Danny Ainge. If you believe that, you're dumb. No offense. No, there's a lot of dumb people in the world. I care for all human beings. But if you really believe that, you're not very smart. And Danny Ainge is doing it again. I'm not going to say it's going to end up with a Kevin Garnett. Doing something here. He's going to turn the assets he's gathered into some. Thomas, I definitely think you said steroid version, so I know you didn't direct comparison. He's so much more in control than Nate Robinson, like 98% of the time. So maybe he's closer to Nate Robinson than James Harden, but the gap is so wide between those two guys that I'm still really confident that he's an overall net positive to the Celts. And then my thing is, I'm glad they didn't go the Sixers route. I'm glad because the Sixers are going to win 15 games this year after they won 18 games last year. They're going to have, this is the second straight season they've brought no joy to their fans whatsoever. And all they have to show Nerlens Noel, a very good defensive center who has no offensive game. and maybe Joel Embiid, but he has a foot injury. Someone in the draft this year, I'm sure they'll get a good player, and then he'll come in. And one thing no one's really talking about is that Nerlens Noel will now enter year 3, and so Noel will enter year 3 of his rookie deal, playing for still an awful team. And Embiid will enter year 2 of his rookie deal, playing for an awful team. These guys, when they're cheap, are going to be playing for a really bad basketball team, which at least lowers their value slightly. Not that if they all turn into studs, they can't be great. But if you're going to go out there and win 15 to 20 games a year for at least 3 years, because they're going to be garbage next year too, you better build a title contender. Because you can't go out there and punt 3 straight years and then build a pretty good team and be like, oh, the plan worked. So I'm glad the Celtics didn't go that route. I'm having more fun with this route. I don't think they're marching towards mediocrity. I think there's more than one way to build the team. If they had gotten lucky in the lottery last year and gotten Wiggins, I would have been thrilled. But I think this is going to work out pretty well, and I'm happy with their path. So that's my point that I would like to leave everyone with. For you guys, appreciate you guys coming on. We should do it again sooner than the gaps we've had, and I just really hope when I hit stop broadcast and check it out, the last 20 minutes of this weren't a complete train wreck. So thanks to you guys. Celts at Thunder in 40 minutes. Who knows? You'd think they're going to lose going against Westbrook, playing for his playoff life, averaging 50, 12, and 12, or whatever he's averaging over the last month. But the way the Celts are going, you're going to see whose turn it is. Spin the wheel. Whose turn is it to have a big night? Jay Crowder, right? He hasn't had a big night in a while. So tonight's the night Jay Crowder goes for 22 and 5, and the Celtics win.
Stevens is also smart enough where he'll probably approach Dion Waiters before the game and remind him how fantastic of a basketball player he is. So that's just coaching 101 if you're playing against Dion.
Dion, put up 20 shots tonight. That's what we need from you.
What happened? You were so good at Syracuse.
we need to see more of that. Keep the ball out of Westbrook's hands.
When are you going to get a coach that knows how good you are?
Oh, man, we can only hope. I mean, the way they're going right now, it seems like everything's coming up Celtics, and everything's coming up Stevens. I still can't believe they beat Memphis with the roster they had. That was probably the game of the year. I mean, the Atlanta game was tremendous, but in terms of lack of talent on the roster, that Memphis win was something else.
Second best team in the West.
And it's against a team that they've got no business. Again, they've got those 2 trees. So out of any team in the league, you would think that Memphis would have just destroyed them.
Yeah, but again, everything's coming up Celts right now. Hopefully it continues on not the West Coast, Midwest. Oklahoma City tonight, San Antonio Friday night, back home Sunday against the abysmal Detroit Pistons, who took Tayshaun Prince. We got $7 million trade exception for Tayshaun Prince, and the Pistons have lost like 100 games in a row since Prince went out there. What a weird roster they have.
Luigi's revenge too.
Yeah, that's Luigi, man. Unbelievable. All right, guys. I appreciate you coming on. We'll do it again sooner rather than later. And again, crossing my fingers, you guys didn't see. You guys out there did not see this the way I did, because all I see is a bunch of Gmail pictures. So, thanks, guys, and enjoy the game tonight, everyone.
There you go.